Hi artists! How are you today? My name is Heather Duncan and today we're going to be painting this beautiful nighttime sky together. I'm so glad you're here to join me. Alright, let's go over our supplies for today. You're going to need some clean water, some masking tape, some watercolor paper or some thick paper like cardstock. You're going to need a white oil pastel and a black oil pastel. You're going to need a watercolor palette, this is mine that I'll be using, and a watercolor brush. Let me tell you the steps that we're going to take for our art piece today. We're going to start by, we're going to start by taping down our paper. Then we are going to use our oil pastel to do the trees and the stars. After we do the trees and the stars, we're going to use watercolor to paint the background or the nighttime sky. We're going to be using a wet on wet technique to do that. Let's tape down our paper together. Okay, I'm going to be using masking tape here, and this might be something that you need to ask for help with. This might not be something that you can do by yourself, so make sure to grab an adult and ask for some help. Okay, we're just going to go on top of our paper, half and half here. Half of our tape is on our paper and the other half is on our table. The reason why we're doing this is this gives us a straight surface, and when we put our watercolor on our paper will tend to curl, and we don't want that. We want it to stay in place. Okay, first we're going to be drawing our trees. I'm going to be drawing about 5 trees down here at the base of our paper, the bottom of our paper. So first, what I like to do is I kind of like to take my black watercolor, or my black oil pastel, excuse me, and I like to make sure my trees are in positions where I want them. So I'm going to be drawing the trunks of the trees first. So how many trees do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees. After I draw the trunks of the trees, I'm going to come in here and draw the limbs. And to draw the limbs, I'm going to be drawing upside down V's. Do you see that? How that's an upside down V? Now, the trick to my upside down V's is I need to make sure they get bigger as my trees go down to the ground. And then I'm going to come in here and kind of fill them in, because it's okay for some of our branches to be seen through, but really, upside down V. We don't want this. Okay, that's what we don't want. That's not what a real tree looks like. We want to come in here and kind of fill that in, like so. Okay? And all of our trees can look a little bit different. They don't have to be perfect. I'm just going to be doing my V's, making sure they kind of look like a triangle. And actually, I'm going to come in here and kind of draw some branches out. I don't want that blank space there. Make it look like I have a tree going up there. Okay. Awesome. I've got my trees down. Now I'm going to be using my white oil pastel to draw some stars. Now you can draw like stars, and it's really hard for you to see my oil pastel because obviously it's white on white, right? So I'm sorry. Let me show you my original piece. So I'm just drawing some dots here. I'm also going to draw this circle with some lines like a shooting star, and I'm just drawing a combination of stars that are kind of bigger and just little dots all throughout my piece. Okay, I might come in here and draw a little circle with like a tail like shooting stars. Dot, 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 dot. And what's going to happen is our watercolor is going to go on the paper, but then you're going to see these stars just shine through. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of swipe some of that off because I got a lot. I kind of was heavy-handed there. Okay, now we're going to start with our paint. I'm going to be using a wet on wet technique, which means I'm going to get my brush wet, and then I'm just going to put the water straight onto the paper in little chunks. And again, you can't see this, I know, it's hard. So there's my water, and then I'm going to wake up my paint, and I'm going to put some paint on the paper. Now I'm going to start, actually I'm going to start with this dark blue. I'm going to start with my sky really dark at the top. I want my sky to be super dark, and I'm going to be doing layers of dark. There's my stars peeking out. It's like a little present. Look at that. That's kind of fun, isn't it? I'm going to be doing, excuse me, a darker sky on top, and then I'll kind of work into a lighter sky. I'm going to put some water down to kind of blend this, and you'll see those stars and shooting stars just pop out of here. It's kind of fun. Okay, now I'm going to add some of this dark blue and just get it real nice and dark. See, look, there's one of my stars. Maybe add some of this blue for fun. So we're using blues and purples for our sky. Okay, because we're creating a nighttime sky. Awesome. Now I'm actually going to transition and do even a band with some purple. The other night I was looking out at the sky, and the sky was it was almost bright. It was really beautiful. Have you seen when the nighttime sky is just really bright and lights up? Maybe the moon. Oh, we should have drawn a moon. That would have been good. And I'm just working my way down the paper, aren't I? Okay, I'm going to come in here with this lighter color of purple now. Just, do you see how my colors mix like that? That's what I want. I want to kind of mix them together. Make sure that I get quite a good dark color on this. Sometimes it's okay to go back and add color too where you've already painted, just to make it a little bit darker. Play around with your paint. See what you like. Okay. Okay, now I'm not going to touch my trees. Don't paint into your trees yet. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our trees here in a second. I'm going to come in here and kind of add some lighter blue. Maybe even some of this light blue down. And I'm just going to paint to the trees. trees white, okay? And I'll show you what we're gonna do with the trees in a second. Now, I'm gonna show you something, a little trick. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, it's kind of fun. This is table salt. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt on my wet paint. And it's gonna add kind of a cool texture to that paint. Okay, we're gonna let that set for a second and then we'll paint our trees. I'm loading my brush with this light purple. And I'm gonna come in here, get a lot of purple on my brush, and I'm just gonna paint the inside of these trees with that purple. And you wanna be really light. You don't wanna push your brush down really heavy on your trees. You just kinda wanna touch it. And if it beads up, that's okay. It will dry, I promise. And if a little bit gets into your paint too, into your sky, don't worry about that. This just really sets your trees apart from your sky. And honestly, you could do this with any color. If you wanted to do it with green, I'm sure you could. You could do this with any color that you would like. But for some reason, I just like this purple, so I'm going to use it. And if you notice that oil pastel, just like with the stars, it resists the watercolor. Okay, that's why this technique is called a resist. Because it's made of oil, it doesn't allow that water to penetrate where the paper where that pastel is. It's kind of cool, huh? Okay. I did it. Awesome. Now, I like to kind of go in, this is my little trick, I like to kind of go in and just paint above the trees, this kind of dark color. Again, this just kind of sets the trees off, and if you notice, my paint is still wet, so it's kind of bleeding. It just kind of creates a shadow where the trees are. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna let this dry and then we're going to take off our tape. It's gonna look so good. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see yours. I bet yours looks so good too. I wish I was there on the other side of this camera so I could see what your work looked like. Okay, I am kind of rubbing off the salt, and the salt left a really cool texture on my watercolor. If you use the salt, you can see. So I'm just rubbing the salt off, okay? And now it's time for me to take, and I was being very gentle doing that. Now it's time for me to take off this tape. Rub my hands just to make sure all that salt is off. Oh, looks so good. All right, are you ready for the big reveal? Oh my goodness, this just makes it look so nice and clean. I always love taking the tape off. It's my favorite part. It really is. Oh, looks so good. Yes, awesome. Okay, artists. Oh my goodness, look at it. It looks so good. Here is our nighttime watercolor sky. I'm going to show you my other ones so you can see how they look different, don't they? I mean, the same, but different. Okay, I use the exact same technique on both of these. So, today we used oil pastel and we used watercolor. We used some wet on wet technique with our watercolor and then some wet on dry down here. We created a resist. That is the actual term, an artist term, a resist, with our stars and our trees using our oil pastel. We also created some really cool texture using salt. It really made our sky look like little twinkling stars were in there. Alright, thank you so much, artists, for joining me today. I'm so thankful to share this space with you. I hope you had fun. Art is supposed to be fun. And do you know what always helps me? if I do a project and then walk away and come back to it the next day, it looks 10 times better. So thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you here next time.